excited to bring you some really excellent Clash Royale action from around the world. Today, of course, we have some great matches. Brazil taking on Uruguay to start things off, and I am personally very, very excited for this matchup overall. Brazil brings a really stacked roster to this whole tournament and is one of the big picks to go all the way towards the World Final. Brazil bringing, of course, a collection of Clash Royale League players, including Luke Dubs, Surge TS, Henan Kava, just a really top-to-bottom, high-quality lineup. Across from them, of course, Uruguay does have some good players, but not quite the same level as Brazil is bringing to the table. Probably the star player out of Uruguay would be Aggressive Raspu, who's a Spaniard currently playing for Uruguay, I'm guessing due to Uruguayan lineage, and a member of COSTA Academy as well, playing in La Copa. And before we get into that, let's go ahead back over to our Brazilian roster. Today, active: Surge TS, Henan Kava, Luke Dubs, and Basoto. And of course, you recognize a lot of these names from Clash Royale, top to bottom, high-level skill sets. And of course, on the other side, the Uruguayan squad: Aggressive Raspu, Marcos, Oikwa, and Isma. And Aggressive Raspu, as I was saying before, probably the top player in terms of experience here on this squad overall. Of course, Isma also very, very talented. Has been playing in Circuito in Colombia, got number 4 twice in 2018 in that tournament. So he is definitely one of the ones to be watching as we go through today's matchups. Of course, the format is going to be CRL format, meaning we start with 2v2, then go into the 1v1 set and end things with King of the Hill if necessary. King of the Hill, of course, each team bringing 3 players forward, each player having just 1 life. If they're out, they go back to the bench, and you try to wipe out the other squad. But that's if we get there. In today's matchup, really, really interesting because you do have the less experienced lineup of Uruguay up against pretty much an actual CRL roster, what might end up being minus Surge TS most likely, because I believe he's going to Dignitas, might end up being an actual CRL roster top to bottom for the Brazilian squad. And interestingly enough, I'm a little surprised here as we go take a look at the 2v2 rosters. It's Surge TS and Henan Kava in 2v2. I expected that Henan Kava will be playing in 2v2, but I thought Luke Dubs was his partner. So let's go ahead and jump in. Surge TS and Henan Kava up against Aggressive Raspu and Isma, the 2 most experienced players for the Uruguayan squad coming out in 2v2. Neither one will be available for the 1v1 set. You can see the ban cards here: Tornado and Giant Skeleton, both off for the duration of this tournament. So here we go. I'd be very curious to see what the Uruguayan squad brings to the 2v2 action, not having the same level of experience competitively. Of course, CCS and is also doing 2v2, but not a lot of CCS experience here on the side of the Uruguayan squad. And as you can see, going pretty standard right now from the Brazilian side. Surge TS, Henan Kava, Lava Miner, so this is pretty central 2v2 meta for the high-level competitive. And so far, Isma and Aggressive Raspu going a little bit off-center. We'll see what this turns into on the back end. So Lava Hound does get on tower, and a nicely timed lightning takes a lot out of that. Bomb tower out of the way. Lava Hound pretty much untouched and unresponded to at this moment. Baby Dragon behind, and you can see a lot of spectators in the back giving the little dab there, and this is going to most likely fireball timed at the end, not quite be tower down, but damage done. 641 right-hand side for the Uruguayans, and the Brazilians starting off in style, but now loading up opposite lane with Lumberloon. Lumberloon freeze, a little cheat coming out of the Uruguayan squad. They should get 1 shot here. I don't know if they'll get 2. They don't even get a single hit. Last second, beautiful defense by Surge TS and Henan Kava, and now they have an entire mountain going the opposite direction against the Uruguayans. Miner to the right-hand side, inside number 3 spot, getting some chip damage on that side. Dow down under 400, easily in spell cycle range as we hit the final 20 seconds. Lava Hounds pop on the left-hand side. Balloon drops, so trying to stay in this one. Balloon, Miner to the front, does zap off, and that's a good turn. If this balloon can connect, nope, Snowball gets in there, needs 2 connections, not going to get 2 here, not even going to get 1, and there you have it. Surge TS and Hen and Kava showing why they are Clash Royale League pros, taking care of business here in game number 1 and getting it done. Very, very well played by the Brazilian squad. This again is one of my favorites. See the blue here, little celebration blue for your winners. One of my favorites to go on pretty deep in this tournament. I had a discussion with Matt Rutledge and Koji-san, Victor Bem, who's going to be casting right now in Spanish. We did a little roundtable discussion that will be up on YouTube later tonight or tomorrow, kind of looking over the top seeds for this tournament, and Brazil was one of my picks to go very, very deep and far into this tournament overall. So starting things off with a bang, and that's going to be a really interesting challenge for a lot of these squads as we go through the next upcoming weeks. Some of these teams have 2v2 players from CRL built in, and they definitely know the experience that they have. On the other side of things, though, you have teams that don't have that same level of Clash Royale competitive 2v2 experience. You can play online all you want, you can play with your friends all you want, but unless you're really grinding 2v2 the way that these pros are, it's going to be very, very difficult to reach a similar level as these guys are playing at. So here we go. Game number 2, Brazil with a game in hand. Cycling Mega Knight to the right-hand side. Musketeer behind, taking easy care of that baby dragon. So it does look like the Uruguayan squad switching things up this time around. Not going with the same thing back to back. So that's good to see. That's encouraging from a 2v2 squad that's not as experienced. For those of you who don't know, Aggressive Raspu has a personal best of 72.08 and does have a lot of team experience. Played in La Copa with Ramboot. Took 16th in La Copa, so didn't make it super far, but did have some team experience there. And here we go. It's Graveyard on both sides. So we'll see if Isma and Aggressive Raspu for Uruguay are going with double Graveyard as well. That's the most popular approach. And interesting seeing the Battle Healer worked into this double Graveyard structure. Of course, there is a very popular Battle Healer Graveyard Night Witch deck making its way around Grand Challenges at the moment. Very curious to see if that one makes its way into our head-to-head play later today. Remember, no Tornado and no Giant Skeleton today. So here we go. Goblin Cage. Mega Knights, both cycled left-hand side. Heavy cycles for the early stages of 2v2, but as you see, we are approaching double elixir time, so things will speed up again. Graveyard down for the Brazilians. Currently, it is the Uruguayan squad in the lead. Snowballing takes the bats off the board, but Dark Prince Baby Dragon doing a good job of cleaning that up on the back end. Dark Prince does not get the charge on the left-hand side for Brazil, but they do take the lead back, except for those 2 Musketeer shots. And now it's Uruguay going in really, really strong on the right-hand side, defensive poison, to clean up that Graveyard. And Graveyard competing the opposite direction in support of the Brazilian Mega Knight. Currently, Uruguay has a slim lead. Poison doing its best to maintain that lead on the left-hand side, but just holding on by 54 HP as we go into sudden death overtime. And now, Surge TS Hanenkava turning things up, and a brilliant prediction Snowball gets in and gets most of those bats, does leave one alive. The freeze comes in, but maybe a little bit off time. Iwi is able to do its job down to 769, just 11 HP separating these 2 squads. Uruguay doing their best not to fall behind a set early in this one and have to fight against this powerhouse 1v1 squad through 1v1 and King of the Hill. Snowball and freeze in, easily taken care of with all the splash damage by Surge TS and Hen and Kava. Isma and Aggressive Raspu now have a lot to deal with here. Baby Dragon and Battle Healer. I don't think we're going to see the Brazilians go in Graveyard on the right-hand side. No, they do not. They go in left-hand side. Go for a prediction. Snowball again. Does not predict anything, though. Poison down will clean up most of that. Now right-hand side, Night Witch, and this is looking like a 2v2 version of this Battle Healer Night Witch Graveyard deck, which has been so popular in the meta in the last couple of weeks. Freeze comes in, Graveyard down, Baby Dragon. Could it turning it on the tower? Baby Dragon gets on tower, and take a look at that. Uruguay takes a 2v2 game off of the Brazilians. Unbelievable, beautiful performance by the Uruguayans, and they just put the pressure on at the exact right moment and got things taken care of. And you can go back, take a look at that 2v2. There was a moment where a freeze came in from the Brazilian side that maybe didn't pick up what it needed to pick up, and of course, the attempted prediction snowball that predicted nothing. 2 elixir that could have been spent potentially on defense does not go that direction, and here we are. We're going with 1 game in hand for each squad, going to a game number 3, maybe not where the Brazilians expected to be at this stage. You got to wonder what Surge TS and Henankava have in store for their opponents this time around, but definitely, if you're watching right now, big applause for everybody who's watching on the Uruguayan side. Really, really great performance, opportunistic, and capitalizing on a little bit of extra elixir spent by the Brazilian side. You got to wonder if that prediction snowball was something that they talked about in the moment, or if one of them just went for it. You know, it's definitely hard to keep track of cycle in 2v2, but the bats didn't come down, they didn't get played off, and in the end, ends up being a big swing elixir-wise towards the Uruguayan team. So here we are, tied up 1-1, and this would be a pretty big move. I mean, if the Uruguayans are going to beat the Brazilians today, they pretty much have to take this 2v2. It feels like that's going to be the most important part of the match, and that's going to be defining for a lot of this tournament going forward, is which team can win the 2v2. It's always critical when you do that in Clash Royale competitive, when 2v2 is part of the competitive format. Winning that 2v2 is so important. Of course, it is a set, but even more important for these squads that are playing against essentially CRL lineups to get that first set in the books, because you don't want to have to beat a CRL level team in 1v1 and King of the Hill back-to-back. That's a huge hill to climb. So here we go to our third and final set. Uruguay has some momentum. Do they go back to the graveyard well one more time? It worked for them. It was a close match, though. It was a very, very close game, so you got to wonder if Uruguay goes that direction again, and if Brazil believes that Uruguay will go that direction one more time. We'll find out, of course, here in a few moments, but it might take a while to get started. Both teams really holding back. No one taking that first step. Now, we have not seen Golem much lately in 2v2 overall in the competitive meta. You don't see a ton of it in CRL. Didn't even really see much of it at World Finals. 2v2 at one point, Golem in the first season was a defining feature of 2v2. But this time, as of late, has not been as popular. And I think a lot of that is because players are getting better at 2v2. We're seeing them continue to improve, continue to expand their skill set. So we will see if that continues to be the story here. But now with the first 90 seconds away, it's feeling more and more like we might be in a situation where someone is going to play Golem. So we'll see. Final 10 seconds of sudden death overtime. Hang on to your seats, folks. And it's Mega Knight Dark Prince for the Brazilians, Classic Prince Musketeer for the Uruguayans. Little poison value here for Uruguay, and it's Giant with Ewiz up high. Uruguay getting really, really aggressive now. E-Drag. Giant, E-Drag, Musketeer, Night Witch. And a Rage on top of it. Love the creativity from the Uruguayans. Gotta wonder now, though, with how much that died on the Vine, whether that's going to come back to bite them. Rage, definitely more popular in CRL Asia than it is in the Western regions, and gotta wonder if maybe taking a note from that side. And it's Graveyard Freeze for the Brazilians. Zap does clean up a whole lot of that, but a significant chunk of damage, and the second graveyard comes in. So now Brazil stacking the graveyards upon graveyards. Is there a second freeze to back this up, or maybe a poison? And the poison goes really high to get the back Musketeer, and she's going to walk right out of that and support this push. So we're going to see if that poison placement eats them a little bit. Now both Musketeers get behind the Giant. Mega Knight in front, Mega Minion in front. One Musketeer does go down, but a second now in support. Now an E-Drag in support as well. Everything raged up, trying to push. And look at this, the Fisherman. Not going to get a King Tower activation, but does get the Giant off the tower, down to 1234, and a very strangely timed freeze here from the Uruguayans. Doesn't accomplish much. That's 4 elixir right down the drain. Mega Knight, Baby Dragon, Graveyard, opposite direction. Defensive poison, trying to pick everything up, but that's going to be under 1,000 HP. The Brazilians taking a solid lead right now, and there you go, stacking that second graveyard. graveyard down under 800 HP, down under 600 HP. There we have it. Oh, this is getting very, very close. That's going to be it. Brazil takes the 2v2 off the back of an aggressive and probably ill-advised poison on or freeze on the part of the Uruguayans. And you got to feel bad for Uruguay. They went in heavy twice with two very, very aggressive pushes. The first one, as I said before, died really before it could get started. Second one looked a little bit better, but maybe in desperation trying to get that one shot off, they got the freeze down and just froze a tower and musketeer and did nothing with it. Nothing was pushing forward, nothing even attacking the musketeer itself. So next thing you know, Uruguay throws a bunch of elixir down the drain, finds themselves thirsting on the back end. And Brazil, you saw there, sort of the focus to take that moment and go, okay, now we know they just spent 4 extra elixir. Let's go ahead and do graveyard. And as soon as they spend on that, bam, second graveyard. And that's what the double graveyard is meant to do. It's meant to continue the pressure on and make it difficult for you to react, difficult for you to keep up with the action. And that's what happened here for the Uruguayans. So there you go. Brazil taking the 2v2, not without a little bit of challenge, though. It could have gone the other way for sure. Uruguay comported themselves fairly well, but again, we saw the difference in experience level is a better way to say it. Difference in experience level between Uruguay and Brazil. So here we go, heading into our 1v1 set, and it is the young star Samuel Basoto coming out for Brazil, and for Uruguay going to be Marcos. So we'll see how these two match up as we get into our 1v1 set. So those of you probably know quite a bit about Basoto. He is a ladder standout, 3-time #1, 30 finishes in the top 10 on ladder, and of course just appeared in CRL West with Fnatic. So tons of experience here from the Brazilian player. On the other side, Marcos, not the same level of experience, but a personal best of 79-18 and a big balloon connection early on left-hand side for Basoto. Brazil now suddenly looking like they are running downhill during a snowstorm. 750 on that left-hand tower, and Marcos just doing whatever he can to try to stay in this one. He has not played. This looks a little bit like Balloon Cycle. Minor Loon, yep, it's going to be that. Minor Musk Loon from Marcos. I haven't seen him playing a bunch of this as of late, but it is a very popular deck, and of course you can see a similar archetype out from Basoto, but going with that Firecracker instead, and this one gets quite a lot, so suddenly Marcos takes the lead here on the young Brazilian star. A couple hundred HP ahead, but wow, look at the timing of that. Minor, bats get on tower, Minor slides right on in and takes care of business. Basoto is probably going to just let this one go left-hand side. Firecracker will at least keep the tower from falling and make Marcos spend a little bit more elixir on that left-hand side while he gets a setup on the right-hand lane. What a fast and furious opening 1v1 game for this tournament. So exciting. Marcos making things close, but Samuel Basoto, man, that Minor with the bats was such a brilliant, brilliant play. Bats being tanked for by the Mega Minion, or being tanked for, what were they being tanked for by, actually, now that I'm on the back end? They were being tanked for a moment. Bats get in, get on tower, Minor slides on in, does some tanking. Boom, that's it. GG for that tower. Right-hand side. It is Minor P.E.K.K.A. Muskaloon for Marcos, and this time able to defend the balloon, not going to get a shot on tower, and now stacking up heavy on the right-hand side. Healthy P.E.K.K.A. Musk and Ice. Oh, and Ice Golem behind. Minor goes right to the Firecracker. P.E.K.K.A. still alive. Bats down in response. Can this balloon sneak on through? Zap does a good job stopping it, and wow, Marcos looked like he had a clear path to the tower, not able to get it done. Samuel Basoto playing really, really sharp defense in this moment. So here we go, Musketeer, and they're at Minor to the outside, and oh my word, does get picked up. Goblins go inside, pick up anyway, down to 34 HP. Marcos has to cycle very, very fast, so even if he does get this tower down, he's going to be down on elixir with all the cycling he has to do. Can he get to that tower on the left-hand side in time? He's not going to do it. 34 HP. Marcos doesn't get around. Marcos doesn't get around, and look at that. Samuel Basoto sneaks on through. Marcos just needed to get one snowball on the tower left-hand side, but could not get around quickly enough, and instead, Basoto sneaks by with a close one. Probably would have been able to load up right-hand lane anyway, but Marcos, just a bit of mismanagement there in those final moments. And again, those goblins on the front end, the stab gobs, able to pick up the Minor on the left-hand side, even though they go to the number 3 spot, Minor to the number 1 spot, still get the pickup, and Samuel Basoto comes out one game up, and now one win away from Brazil closing out Uruguay and getting the first victory of this no-tilt Worlds. Let's jump back in to the action with Samuel Basoto up 1, and now it's going to be Magic Archer for Marcos. Sago to the left and immediate Miner going to the right. 23-42 on that right-hand tower. Magic Archer picked up by the Valkyrie. Easily getting work done. And here we go. It's Miner wall breakers for Basoto. Bomb tower picked up, and you might also believe it's going to be Miner wall breakers for Marcos as well. So both parties slowing down a little bit. Basoto switching lanes, going Miner to the opposite tower. Skeleton's a little bit late in the pickup. A few shots come in from that Miner shovel. And this time, Magic Archer cycled to the right-hand lane. Valk in response. Valkyrie in front for Marcos. And Magic Archer down as well. I mean, this really is one of the more popular constructions for Miner wall breakers right now. The Magic Archer Valkyrie version, depending on what you mix in with it. Of course, there's also the Mega Knight versions that are very popular right now. Tornado pulls the Miner off. Solid defense here from Marcos. 2 minutes away into sudden death overtime, and Uruguay currently ahead in this game, behind in the match overall. Wallbreaker's left-hand side. Not going to spend a Miner on that side. Basoto maybe testing the waters a bit, and a solid poison here from Marcos. Some good tower damage. Gets the Magic Archer off the board. Hurts that Valk a bit more. You know, this just might be Miner control. What is he in Wallbreakers? Oh, there we go. There come the Wallbreakers now at this point. Wallbreakers connect. Bomb tower now out for Basoto. So similar decks with slightly different variations. Basoto does have the Miner bats, which creates a really challenging difference here. You can see trying to get a little bit of extra value out of those bats. Does not get a connection from the Wallbreakers. Entering into sudden death overtime, Marcos just a little bit ahead. But Basoto does have a wide variety of ways to create, a wider variety at least, of ways to create damage on the tower. Those bats putting a really interesting wrinkle into the mix, and a beautiful poison out of Marcos. Now, one thing to note here, Marcos not getting that poison value onto tower, and he has been splitting lanes a bit more than Basoto so far. So right now the Brazilian ahead, and keep in mind the stakes. Brazil up by 1, a game win here ends the match for Uruguay, and they start their campaign for this World Cup off with a loss. King Tower activation. That's going to make things interesting as we get a little bit deeper into this. Magic Archer all over the tower. 12:37 left-hand lane. Final 90 seconds. Marcos rotating skeletons, goes Miner opposite lane. And again, keep in mind, as we said before, oh man, one extra Magic Archer shot. Every single one of those hurts right now. Basoto just simply has more ways to create damage on tower. He's doing a better job of getting his Magic Archer high and using it offensively. The bats create these cheap counter pushes. He's able to get around to that Miner over and over again. This time opts not to. But just having those bats creates the slightest imperative difference. Basoto gets his Miner picked up by the Valk, but 1 minute away from taking this thing. High bomb tower takes care of that Magic Archer, I believe. Does get one shot, and no, does not step in range of the bomb tower. Miner to the number 1 spot. Bomb tower gets down. Skeletons go to the back. Snowball does not help. 536 left-hand side, right-hand side. Miner goes to the back, and the Stab Goblins dropped a little bit low, but still pick up the Miner easily. 2 Magic Archers, right-hand side. Miner goes to the back this time. Bomb tower, and there you go. Tornado, but those could connect. No, high bomb tower takes care of business. Magic Archer Snowball does not quite turn it into the tower. Miner into the front. Poison down as well. And this Miner from Basoto on the left-hand side down to 408. But things are getting very, very close. Final 15 seconds. And take a look at this. It's Samuel Basoto behind. Marcos taking the lead. Basoto gets his Miner on tower. Down to 233, down to 169. On the left-hand side now. Right-hand side, 317. Poison does get down, but cannot get it done. Basoto holds on. Marcos battles back only to fall in the final moments. Basoto with the 2-0 to clean things up for his team and send Brazil on to their next match with a victory in hand. Wow, what an exciting match for this first one. Brazil really seemed to be in a group that it would have a strong handle on, and in the end, it's 4-1 for Brazil over Uruguay, taking the 2v2, 2-1, taking the 1v1 in a 2-0 sweep. But I don't think those numbers reflect how close this match really, really was. Very exciting back and forth. Game number 1, Basoto really had things in hand, even though gave up the tower, was able to maintain an elixir lead, and even if he'd lost that 34 HP on the left-hand side, probably still had a good chance to load up on the right-hand side. Of course, we'll never know. A little mismanagement there, though, from Marcos in that moment. And then in this last game, it just came down to the last couple of moments. That really could have gone any way. Marcos did a great job battling back and making it very, very close. Couldn't get his poison down quickly enough. Couldn't get that last miner on tower. But this was just a couple of miner swings away from going a different direction. And we talked a lot about that magic archer as well. The magic archer work of Basoto, able to get on tower consistently, while on the other side, not the same can be said for Marcos. So Brazil taking this first win 2-0. Going to be a very valuable win. Brazil probably just be its strongest competition in the region, but we'll have to see what happens when we look at Costa Rica versus Chile in our next match. Brazil taking care of business fairly easily and in a fairly exciting manner, to be honest. 2v2, another interesting thing to think about in this situation. 2v2, Brazil, with a lot of experience, did give up the game in that second game, but on the other side of it, Uruguay just, you saw some 2v2 inexperience there on the back end in that game number 3, but despite taking the loss here, I think this showed a lot from Uruguay overall, and right now, depending on what we see from Chile and Costa Rica, I feel like Uruguay has a very, very good chance of making it to that number 2 spot and getting out of the group stage. Of course, we'll see again what kind of play we see from the other 2 teams in this region, but Uruguay was definitely right there, just a little bit behind Brazil, and if that's the way they're playing, they can bring that same level of play with maybe a little bit of polish to their Chile and Costa Rica matches. Uruguay could get 2 wins out of this group stage and end up moving on to our Sweet 16. So beautiful play by Brazil and coming out with a nice 2-1 victory. We'll be right back with a little bit more in just a moment. So it does look like my Brazilian my Spanish language counterparts are still going. So I'm back for a moment. We might be kicking off here in a second to wait for our next match. I have to be honest, not exactly sure when our Chile versus Costa Rica match is going to happen, if it starts right now or if we wait for it to start on the hour. So we're going to hang out and I'm keeping an eye on my Spanish counterparts to see how long we're going to be here hanging out. Let's go ahead and turn to the chat now that we're waiting for this to happen. I'm going to go ahead and pop the chat out here and so I can see you guys as I keep an eye on my Spanish-speaking friends. Hi, everybody. If you don't know me already, I'm Rich Slayton. I am one of the casters for Clash Royale League. Oh, here we go. Let's go ahead and check out the next matches. Oh, here we go. There we are. All right, guys. We'll be back in 30 minutes with your next match. So set a timer. Go ahead. Make yourself some dinner or some lunch or some breakfast, wherever you are. We'll be back at the hour for our next matchup. Chile taking on Costa Rica. Hello, welcome back to No Tilt Worlds. I'm Rich Slayton. We're still in Group H action. Chris couldn't make it today, sorry. So you're stuck with me. Let's go and take a look at what we've seen so far today in Group H. Brazil coming out strong against Uruguay, taking care of business early on. Now we are moving along to Chile, facing off against Costa Rica. Two squads with a little bit less experience than what we just saw, but a lot on the line for both nonetheless. You have to imagine this is a must-win game for either squad if they want to have any hope of moving on to our next stage. Coming out for Chile today, 9-0 Kid, Cabron, Nacho, and Nicholas. And I have to imagine Nicholas will be the 1v1 player for Chile today, the most experienced on that squad, 777 personal best, with experience in World Cyber Games, Red Bull MEO, and Liga Mexicana. From Costa Rica, Stuart, Kevin, Fabian, and Brian 13 will be taking their phones out and going head-to-head in this matchup today. And it's going to be a tough road for Costa Rica. They just seem to be the least experienced group in the overall tournament, but Kevin is a 7,500 player, Fabian 7.3K, so we will see what they have in store for their opponents in 2v2. Kevin and Stuart on the top for Costa Rica, on the bottom for Chile, 9-0 Kid and Cabron. So looking like it might be Balloon for the Chilean squad, who chose to ban the Giant Skeleton Battle Healer off the board for Costa Rica. Interesting choice for a 2v2 set. And it is Graveyard. It's interesting now that you see Night Witch, and at this stage in the meta, you assume Graveyard, and here we go. Graveyard down for the Costa Ricans. Easily dealt with by the Miner and Snowball. Mega Knight taken care of by the Inferno Tower. 9-0 Kid and Cabron. 9-0 Kid, a 7K player with number 1 and number 2 finishes in Circuito Mexico 2 and 3 in 2018. And here we go, Graveyard down. Poison trying to take off the defensive troops. Does get the flying machine down in the end, but not a ton of damage. It's Chile still out to the lead at this stage in the game. Cabron, a 7.5K player. Best finish, 1,015th on ladder. On the other side, Kevin and Stuart. Kevin, 7,500 personal best. Stuart, 7,280. So here we go. P.E.K.K.A cycled in the back for Chile. Costa Rica maybe going opposite side here. Princess right up in front. Log takes her out of play and does get 2 Rascal Girls as well, and a nice poison on the left-hand side for the Chileans. Getting a Dark Goblin, 2 Rascal Girls, and helping with that Rascal Boy. So it's Ram Rider. Ram Rider, Mega Knight, P.E.K.K.A for the Chileans. Probably a second Ram Rider from the other player as well. We'll see if we get 2 down as time goes on. And it's double Graveyard for the Costa Rican squad. P.E.K.K.A cycled right-hand lane for the Chileans. Costa Rica now does appear like they might be switching lanes. And that's, again, a lot of spell value there in the middle. Is that just meant to bait out Log? And no need. A raged up Mega Knight takes care of business. "15 seconds into sudden death overtime. Left-hand tower of Costa Rica down to 1230. And here we go. Costa Rica going hard right-hand side. Night Witch, Graveyard. Maybe just trying to... Here we go. The freeze comes out. But they do activate King Tower. So now that's going to be frustrating for Costa Rica. They have to freeze that King Tower pretty much every time they go down the right-hand side. They might at some point choose not to, but it definitely is going to at least be inviting for that freeze and maybe limit their options of how they can choose to freeze those defending troops. But one big Mega Minion swing, 2 swings right-hand side down to 842. Chile now really in a good spot in this first game against Costa Rica. Not quite in spell cycle range yet, but getting closer. Miner gets picked up by the Dark Prince left-hand side. Rascal Girls and Baby Dragon. Mega Knight comes down, and that's a good lightning right-hand lane for the Chileans, down to 535. Dark Goblin in the back, doing a good job cleaning things up. This time, spreading the troops a little bit wider on the board is Costa Rica. Now their turn to take one big swing. This might be the last real offensive push they can get. And you see now, they did go ahead and freeze that King Tower as well. Didn't get a ton out of it, though. Do they have a second graveyard to get down? They miss the pickup on the Miner. Night Witch going front instead of back. And the Lightning cleans things up for Costa Rica. And they take care of business here in game number 1. We're ahead pretty much the entire way through. Chile just not able to keep up. And a couple of big moments, a couple of big bouts of spell value given by Costa Rica to the Chileans. And there you have it. Chile taking game number 1 by a fairly strong margin. And you kind of felt like that last graveyard was the last gasp attempt for Costa Rica to stay in game 1. Of course, we have a lot of Clash Royale left to be played. We'll see if Costa Rica can get back in game number 2 here in just a moment. But got to feel good for the Chileans. Again, this really does feel like a must-win for either squad if they want to get out of this group stage. You have to imagine that trying to beat both Uruguay and Brazil are going to be very, very difficult for either one of these two teams. But beating just one of them, you can beat anyone on a good day. And in particular, Uruguay could have some cracks in the armor. So whoever comes out of this one has a pretty good shot at going on, or at least a good shot at having their own fate in their hands. A loss here, more likely than not, means elimination from the bracket stage because of the difficulty of going through the rest of this group. So a lot on the line here as we get closer and closer to game number 2. Costa Rica may be a little bit surprised, maybe a little bit caught off guard. And again, that King Tower activation with the freeze, forcing them to put the later freeze onto King Tower rather than let things go as they might have wanted to. So here we go, jumping into game number 2. Kevin and Stuart for Costa Rica, top of your screen. Nino Kid and Cabron at the bottom of your screen for Chile. Remember, the bands are Battle Healer and Giant Skeleton, and it's Royal Hogs for the Chileans this time. Lava going left-hand side, and probably did not want to see that flying machine creeping ahead of the Lava Hound. 4 elixir down, and you know, we talk a bit about the importance of having experience in 2v2s working as a team. You can see there that flying machine creeping ahead of the Lava Hound, probably because of a bit of a miscommunication. Maybe not knowing exactly where or when the teammate was placing which card. So 4 elixir down the drain, a decent chunk of damage, but works out okay for the Costa Ricans. They come out ahead as the first minute of play goes away. Both teams taking time to reset. Elixir does flow slower, or more slowly, in 2v2 than it does in 1v1 play. Stuart also has some experience in Circuito. In Colombia, the 6th edition, placing 4th in that tournament. Royal Hog's right-hand side, and take a look at those arrows. People don't talk about arrows enough, but being able to take things like guards off the board due to the waves is such a massive buff. And take a look at this mini P.E.K.K.A. all the way in, tower down, huge, huge swing in favor of Chile. And now with a minute 20 left, Costa Rica in a lot of trouble. Need to make something of this specific push. Doing a good job of it down on that left-hand side. This tower should fall. Baby Dragon does just escape. That's going to be tower down left-hand side. Chile still ahead with that King Tower damage. Down to 31-26 for Costa Rica. And just loading up again. Costa Rica forced to pick up the mini P.E.K.K.A. with their Lumberjack. Lumberjack does survive. Down to 11-18, but this is going to be a lot coming down the opposite direction for Chile to deal with. Fireball cleans up all the support. Poison coming down on offense, but very, very well defended. Chile looking much, much calmer and more put together. A bit of a double drop there with the Musketeer, though. That's talking about maybe some miscommunication. Now you have 2 Musketeers easily dealt with by the same troops or by the same spells. And nice job getting the Royal Recruits down. They do not protect the Musketeers, unfortunately. Dark Prince does not connect. Still 11-18 on that King Tower, and well defended in this case by Costa Rica. Entering into sudden death overtime. Chile in the lead, but for how long? Costa Rica pouring it on. Lumberjack in the pocket trying to make a beeline for that Musketeer. Gets her off the board. Right-hand tower now down under 1,000. 698 right-hand side. Costa Rica right back in it as we enter into sudden death. And now Chile goes 8 Royal Hogs. That's a lot of value for spells. Goblin Cage picking things up. And look at that. Barely a connection. Fireball gets on 631, but did not get quite as much as you'd hope to get out of 10 elixir just spent right in front of the King Tower. Poisoned down. Spell cycle range now, potentially. Lightning should do it. So Chile needs to figure out some way to block this lightning if they can. Otherwise, that's going to be GG. Well played. Costa Rica taking game number 2. And Costa Rica right now just kind of sitting on it. They do have the elixir for the lightning. Royal Hogs split in the back. Gonna split them one more time, I think. And they are not able to get them down in time. Costa Rica takes game number 2. Chile seemed like they had it all sewn up there for a minute, but Costa Rica able to steal that one back and tie things up at 1-1. You gotta wonder if those 10 Royal Hogs, those 8 Royal Hogs, 10 elixir spent, was the right call. A lot put there. 2 double drops. You saw that one. Maybe done on purpose, of course, the double Musketeer drop on the opposite side. So maybe some miscommunication. Wonder if they're playing in the same place or playing on voice chat. Wonder how much experience they have together. And you see some of those missteps here and there. But now we're all tied up. Costa Rica won. Chile won, with the third and final game coming up in just a moment. You know, it seemed like those Royal Hogs came into the game a bit late, didn't create much in the way of dual lane pressure. It wasn't even the Royal Hogs that got the tower down. It was the Mini P.E.K.K.A. escaping and getting on tower behind the Royal Hogs, taking that right-hand tower down. And then it was with that King Tower being so enticing, getting so low, Chile just continuing to load up in that lane and giving the opportunity for a counter push for the Costa Ricans. And then you saw on the other side of it, really, really good use of spells from the Costa Ricans, taking out some of the offensive pushes, taking out some of the defensive pieces, and getting enough tower damage down. So let's go ahead, jump into game 3. Costa Rica and Chile, set number 1. And now it's Lava Hound for both. We'll see if anyone's going Lava Miner or if they're just going general Lava Hound, maybe Lava Hound with Lumberjack. I'm gonna be very curious to see if what's up with this minor nerf that supposedly is incoming, teased by Clash Royale in both Seth's Twitter and then a little comment by the official Clash Royale Twitter account. A minor nerf would, of course, be kind of a seismic shift, potentially, to the overall meta of the game. So many central meta decks involve minor. Lava Miner, Giant Miner, Miner Control. Right? I can list you 5,000 minor decks. You know what I'm talking about. Tons of minor play all over. So we'll see what this nerf does and if it's significant enough to take out a number of decks from the current meta, from a long-standing meta. Left-hand side, a lot of damage done by Costa Rica, 1376. As we reach the midway point of regulation time, Chile fighting from behind. Getting that right-hand tower down to 1859. So Chile and Costa Rica, the number 3 and number 4 seed in Group H. Of course, the seeds determined by a mixture of previous results from the teams, from the national teams, in international competition like CR Nations, World Royale League, that sort of thing. Also a mixture of how the players who are on the team roster performed over the course of the last year as well. So no surprises here that Brazil was the number 1 seed out of this region with that pretty much full-on CRL roster, Surge TS mixed in. Uruguay, also no surprises, the number 2 seed, so Costa Rica and Chile with a lot less experience in terms of international competition in 3 and 4. A lot of damage both hand side. Top right tower in a lot of trouble, down to 205. Bottom tower down to 144. So both of these should go down, both within spell range. Poison will take either one off the board. Fireball will be enough for the bottom left-hand side. And nice use of the lightning gets both those baby dragons in a lot of trouble. Maybe a poison high here There you go. Poison takes care of the Baby Dragon. Will also do a lot on those flying machines and the Inferno. So a very high value poison out of the Chilean squad. Fireball does come in. Costa Rica making sure they don't get any silly mistakes in those final moments. And now it's Chile loading up Lava Hound left-hand side. Might have got a bit of an elixir advantage from that beautiful lightning poison combination. And it's Costa Rica getting aggressive, just loading up at the bridge. Miner in right to the Musketeer. Musketeer might not fall. She does not. And look at that, able to defend down to 111-19 right-hand side. Musketeer just barely staying alive. Chile in a little bit of trouble, though. They are way behind on elixir. Lava Hound in the pocket for Costa Rica. You have to imagine that Chile may be overextended a bit with going double lava left-hand lane. Not much left. Only 4 elixir between the two of them to defend. Miner in. This should be it. And there you have it. Costa Rica with the reverse sweep in 2v2. Taking it down and giving their squad a huge advantage. Moving into our later sets. Brilliant work by the Costa Rican squad. And you got to wonder about some of those decisions by Chile there on the back end. Going double Lava Hound left-hand lane when they knew they were down and had to defend on the right-hand side. And you saw Costa Rica continue to keep the pressure on, not letting Chile breathe for a second. Lava Hound at the bridge, Lava Hound in the pocket. And there you go, putting 14 elixir in the opposite lane. And you could see there at the end, they were trying to find some way to defend, but only had 1-2 elixir in either person's hand. Not enough to deal with what was coming down. Miner to the back, Baby Dragon being dealt with up front. Not going to happen. Tower down, and Costa Rica comes from behind with the reverse sweep and 2v2, takes the all-important set, now puts Chile in a tough spot. Chile has to come back and win 2 sets in a row, has to win the 1v1, best of 3, and of course, if they can do that, has to go on and win in that King of the Hill set. So Costa Rica now ahead with a nice little margin. You see the Chilean flag left-hand side looks a bit like Texas. Of course, the Texan flag, that blue with the star, extends all the way to the bottom of the flag rather than up in the corner. So here we go, jumping into 1v1. It's going to be Nacho against Fabian. Not exactly the matchup that I thought we were going to have. Fabian, the reasonable choice. Nacho is a solid player out of Chile, does currently play with Tribe Academy, and did pretty well in the CCS Americas qualifier, coming in 16th overall. And looks like very interesting. Baby Dragon, Knight, and Bar Barrel for Fabian. Bomb Tower, feeling a little bit like it might be Graveyard here for Fabian. This is a very popular Graveyard deck right now. Nacho's Mega Knight, picked up by the Bomb Tower. Graveyard, a test in patience most of the time. Unless you get very far ahead, pulling that Graveyard in the first 2 minutes can be a real dangerous choice. And Fabian has been playing this deck a fair bit, the Graveyard Ice Wiz Control. His opponent has liked this a lot as well. Poison down to get the Musketeer off the board. Fabian, 7.37 personal best. Nacho, 77.58. Best on ladder, finishing 190th in the world. Fabian, despite having a lower personal best, has a best finish of 182nd. So first 2 minutes away, no serious damage done. A bit of a battle on the right-hand side. Minor wall breakers with Mega Knight for Nacho. Fabian has not pulled the trigger on that Graveyard yet. Expect that here as we get into double elixir time. And again, the Poison High to deal with that Musketeer. Minor wall breakers left-hand side. Bar Barrel. Oh, Bar Barrel and Tornado. So does get the wall breakers away from tower, but spends a lot and now has a healthy Mega Knight and Bandit coming down in the opposite direction. Bomb Tower Knight, a brilliant combination. Does hold off fairly nicely. That's going to do a good job of playing defense here. Mega Knight does not get a leap on tower. Fabian maybe a step behind on elixir. and Baby Dragon does not turn towards the wall breakers. Tornado and bar barrel combination again to stop that. Bandit will, oh, beautiful pickup. Looked like the Bandit would get a dash on tower. The Knight comes in high and pulls the Bandit the opposite direction. Fabian playing very, very well in these situations. It looks like he's in trouble time and time again, but doing just enough to defend. And here we are, another minor wall breakers push. This time bomb tower picks up. Will not have that bomb tower available for the next Mega Knight if that comes down quickly. Of course, does cycle fairly quickly around. Neither one has a huge advantage on cycle. Still no graveyards from Fabian, choosing to play defense and let some of the counter lane pressure or counter push pressure get the damage done for him. High poison. Did not have the bomb tower, and the Mega Knight gets away on the leap. That could be a huge shift. Bandit gets pulled in by that tornado, and right now Fabian doing everything to stay alive, but he is in a heap of trouble. 558 left-hand side, 908 right-hand side, and in a blink of an eye, Nacho roars into the lead. 70 seconds remaining, 75 seconds remaining in this first game of 1v1. Bomb tower played safely inside, but that's going to leave a lot open opposite direction and not going to matter. Tower down, Nacho taking game number 1, and one of the more disrespectful emotes, the Yawning Princess, comes out. And that was a close one, folks. Fabian playing great control for so long, could not get a single graveyard down. The high pressure from Nacho's deck, that minor wall breaker Mega Knight deck, so frustrating, so much pressure put in both lanes over and over again. You saw either tower could have been the finishing tower, and despite defending very, very well for a very long time, maintaining the lead for a long time, eventually that pressure was just a little bit too much. And it is Chile taking the first game of 1v1. A bit of a cushion now. Costa Rica having that one game, that set in hand. Chile now getting a game up and wanting to send this thing to King of the Hill. Nacho, very, very impressive, staying focused in that time, not making any big mistakes, keeping the pressure on, knowing when to pressure. Right? It's very hard to make that sort of min-max choice often. And in the end, decided to go opposite lane and get the pressure on, and I was able to open up offense in both lanes. So Costa Rica with a set in hand. Nacho looking to tie things up, send us to King of the Hill, and immediately Minor goes to the left-hand side for Fabian. And now it looks like it's Fabian's turn to be playing minor wall breakers Mega Knight. So Fabian just said copy deck and decided to move on. Nacho also going minor wall breakers, but instead going with the popular Valk Magic Archer combo. So we'll see how much Nacho holds that Valkyrie. It is one of the ways to deal with those wall breakers when they come down same lane, but also maybe the best way to tank a Mega Knight if that Mega Knight does come in. There's going to be some difficult choices here. Bomb tower, and a little early for the Miner to the back. Knowing that you're up against Tornado, we'll see if that comes back to bite Fabian. And look at that, Bandit does connect left-hand side. So despite the King Tower activation being there, 734 left-hand lane, and now that King Tower activation pretty much wiped off the board, not going to be as consequential. Could still have an effect, but not as consequential as when you have a tower that's over 1,500 HP. Here we go, 15 seconds from double elixir time. Nacho cycling Magic Archer into his weak side tower. Musketeer into the same lane. Nacho poisoning off the Musketeer. Might get one shot from Musketeer from the Magic Archer. Instead, redirected by those Stab Goblins. Nothing on tower, and now Miner goes directly into the Valk and Bomb Tower high to pick up the Wall Breakers. But that's a lot spent by Nacho. Magic Archer in the middle, and Poison high. Doesn't get anything off the Bandit, but Musketeer now taken off the board. Valk comes down to protect the Magic Archer, and now a good opportunity for Fabian to create some pressure of his own. Or for Nacho to create some pressure of his own. Mega Knight finally does come down. Right on top of that Valk, but Magic Archer getting a bunch of shots and a strong NATO and a beautiful, beautiful Miner to keep that pickup here. That could be a game changer. Magic Archer going crazy on the tower, and suddenly Nacho in the lead. What a play by the Chilean. Magic Archer on tower, and you see a pretty standard play getting that Tornado, pulling it all together and keeping the Magic Archer on tower, but then the Miner to pull aggro and keep everything there. Brilliant play by the Chilean. Nacho needs needs a couple more ticks, throws out the BM Princess and a clean 2-0 sweep. I wish we had instant replay here because that was a game changer. Behind by so much, but able to turn things around. Nacho gets that, again, guts the Magic Archer on tower, gets everything lined up, and you see, okay, get a few more shots with the tornado, but the IQ play, the high IQ play, throwing that miner onto the tower, getting not just extra chip damage from the miner, but turning those troops away from the Magic Archer, keeping them lined up on that miner, more damage in, and wow, Nacho just pulling that one under from under Fabian's feet. And now we go to a third and final set. King of the Hill, the first King of the Hill of this No Tilt Worlds event. And I'm really pumped for this one. Given what we just saw in the head-to-head play, this could be very, very exciting. Magic Archer, a card many people are saying might need a nerf right now, but I'll tell you one thing, Magic Archer has provided some of the most exciting moments of late in competitive Clash Royale. Of course, that was just one of them. A very exciting play to kick things off here on our opening day of No Tilt Worlds. And I'm sure that if you're watching here, you probably watched the Clash Royale League World Finals that we had back in December and know about the 1 HP game between Morton and Surgical Goblin, who, by the way, Germany and Netherlands are in the same group. They are together in Group E, I believe, for this No Tilt Worlds group stage. So we could see a rematch when those two teams go head-to-head. We might see Morton and Surgical Goblin going against each other one more time. Here we go, our game recap courtesy of Stats Royale, and the Magic Archer was the big difference maker for Nacho in this one, able to get it down and get the damage done. You see 4 Magic Archers played, not relying on the wall breakers very much, mostly looking at the miner, the poison, and the Magic Archer for the damage. Playing defense with that Valkyrie and the bomb tower. On the other side, Fabian really trying to get that miner wall breaker play down, and he did a lot of good damage early on, able to get ahead in the lead, but not able to maintain it. Nacho has to be pretty pumped about that one. Fabian has to go back to the drawing board and figure out what went wrong and what he can do better next time around. So we should have lineups here for King of the Hill fairly soon. Curious to see who these squads bring out for King of the Hill. My guesses is that we are going to see Nacho, of course, back out in King of the Hill. I don't remember if Nicholas was on the active roster today, but if he was, I expect that he'll be there as well. I don't have the active roster in front of me. And then on the other side, you bet Fabian probably wants that one back. So we'll see how the rosters are in just a couple of moments here. It's been a good day so far. The Brazilian-Uruguay match, despite the 2-0 sweep for Brazil, Uruguay did show some pretty exciting moments, some good signs of life and some potential for their team both now and in the future. And then so far, it's been pretty fun back and forth between Costa Rica and Chile. Costa Rica, of course, taking that 2v2 set. Chile now taking the 1v1. And some big play moments. So King of the Hill, if you don't know how King of the Hill works already, let me explain it to you. Both teams put forward 3 players. Each player goes up and has one chance. If you lose, you're out. And your goal is to go through all 3 players of the other team. So one player could come out and clutch and go through all 3. You could go back and forth and have a full best of 5 sets potentially. And King of the Hill provides some of the most exciting moments in Clash Royale overall, including what I just mentioned, that Surgical Goblin Morton moment, which was Game 5 King of the Hill in the semifinals at CRL Worlds. So still waiting on those rosters. Should have them in just a moment. If you haven't already, go ahead. I think it's right. Yeah, there we go. Right here. Check out my Twitter at Rich Slayton. Go ahead and let me know what you think. How do you have in this next game? Who do you have going overall? I have a few favorites that I've picked so far. You can go to my YouTube page, youtube.com/Rich Slayton, and you can see coming up later today or tomorrow will be a roundtable discussion with myself, with Complexity Director of Mobile Gaming Matt Rutledge, and Koji-san Victor Bem, the CRL Espanol caster, is also casting No Tilt in Spanish as well. And we go through all 8 groups and discuss the first seeds and how we think they'll fare overall in the tournament, and take a look at each group and how competitive they are. And there are a few teams that I have picked to go pretty far. Of course, Brazil from this group being one of those teams. It's going to be curious to see. You expect to have both Germany and Netherlands leave their group, but their group does have some challenges mixed in there as well. Team USA, in my opinion, looks absolutely phenomenal. We'll be seeing them, of course, later in the tournament. Today, we're just leading off with Group H. Team USA will be playing this weekend. Here we go. We do have our King of the Hill lineups. And for Chile, it is Cabron, Nicholas, and Nacho. So Sharp lineup. Expected Nicholas to be in there. He's very, very good. And on the other side, it's going to be Brian, Kevin, and Stuart. So let's go ahead and start off with Brian facing off against Cabron. Cabron, personal best 75-81. Brian, a 7K player. These guys do have similar deck pools. Cabron loves to go minor wall breakers. We've seen a lot of that today so far, but he leans pretty heavily on minor wall breakers overall. Whereas his opponent, Brian, likes a little bit of lava miners, been playing a lot of graveyard lately as well. And this could either be E-Golem or Graveyard out of Cabron, bottom of your screen. And it is Lava Hound for Brian, so I'm expecting it's Lava Miner. That's his favorite go-to for Lava Hound. And it's feeling more and more like that Graveyard deck from Cabron. Lava Hound meets the Night Witch and Baby Dragon. So many bats on the board. Inferno Dragon, though, a little bit high. Does get in range of Princess Tower, but pretty much kills that Baby Dragon along the way. And it is Lava Miner for Brian. So he gets on tower now. Not going to take the lead here. Oh, correct me. Will take the lead by just a little bit, but connection on the left-hand side to 22-16. Only 2 HP separating Brian and Cabron in the opening game of King of the Hill. Mini P.E.K.K.A goes down. First 2 minutes away. Entering double elixir time. And here we go. First graveyard out. Interesting choice to cycle the Zap in that case. Zap would be a little helpful here in defending against this graveyard push and those bats. And look at that. One lone bat does a ton of damage. Night Witch. So frustrating. 1345. And now, after cycling the Zap on the right-hand side, Brian going left-hand side. It's got to wonder if that 2 HP... or two elixir was actually worth it. Battle Healer just walks right through all of that. Gets on tower down to 976. High poison. Miner to the back. Cabron's going to not worry about that too much. Baby Dragon to deal with the Biner and then go and help support the rest of this defense as the push that's very, very weak finally does get across the bridge. Ewiz down in support. Cabron looking very, very good right now. Fireball in. Ewiz still up front. Poison down. Miner goes outside. So suddenly, here we go. If that Mini P.E.K.K.A can escape, this could change everything. Mini P.E.K.K.A does connect. Brian gets it down to 327. Cabron in a lot of trouble, but does have a healthy Baby Dragon and Ewiz on the board. Graveyard does come down. Baby Dragon now defending against the Graveyard. Those skeletons are not getting on tower, but the Barbarian almost escapes. Nice minor pickup by Brian. 708, 641. Cabron has to figure out something and figure out something fast because he is in a heap of trouble. Will he use the bomb tower? Does turn the Lava Hound opposite direction. Battle Healer does cross the bridge right into a Mini P.E.K.K.A, and here we go. Graveyard down. Cabron going for a foot race. Does not have enough for the poison in support, though, so not able to get anything off the board there on defense. Miner goes to the back, and that should be it. Brian 13 going to get this one. Take game number 1. Cabron was playing so well. Brian 13 just took advantage and stole this one in the final moments. 1 down, 2 to go, and Costa Rica looking very, very good right now in a nice lead. But of course, coming up next for Chile is going to be the guy who we were all talking about. Nicholas, I believe, is next online for Chile. Let's take a look. Yeah, it should be Nicholas next, and Nicholas is probably the most experienced player of the Chilean lineup, so we'll see if Cabron can continue with that level of gameplay. Or with Brian, sorry, if Brian can continue with that level of gameplay. Brian is with Sandstorm in his time not here with No Tilt Worlds representing his country, so does have competitive experience himself, but up against Nicholas, who has a lot more experience. We'll see if we can get the same kind of work done. I wish we had replay. There's so many fun moments from these games, but in the end, it was Brian 13 able to take care of business, and you saw in the end a foot race. You got to wonder at some point when you decide to just push and go for that race or when you hold back and play defense, and it seemed like there were a couple moments where Cabron just didn't really have a clear picture of what he wanted to do in the moment. So here we go. Nicholas comes out and Miner immediately. Going to be Miner Wallbreaker's Valk most likely. Brian. Dark Prince. Musketeer. A few different options here. Bats down, and they do take care of the Wallbreakers pretty easily. And EQ. So here we go. Magic Archer cycled right-hand side. It's Sparky. So Goblin Giant, Sparky with EQ. Most likely Goblin Giant. This deck has been going around a little bit as of late. Becoming one of the more popular Sparky decks in the moment. And arrows take off the Sparky. Very, very good understanding by Nicholas of what he needed to get that Sparky off the board. A lot of other players might hesitate for a moment, but has probably run this matchup and knows just by sight, okay, that Sparky's at this point. I can see about it has a third left. Arrow to do the job, gets it off the board. And now Nicholas still in control. As I said before, Nicholas, the most experienced competitive player on the Chilean squad, placed 4th in the global tournament, in one of the global tournaments in 2019. Made it to 4th place also in the WCG Americas Finals. And one of his big feathers in his cap was winning the CWA Bren Chong Draft Tournament, taking #1 in 2018. So, yes, Draft is a casual mode with a lot of randomness in it, but to be able to go through and win a tournament like that is still means that you have a strong understanding of card mechanics and placement, which Nicholas has shown so far. Goblin Giant, though, doing quite a lot here. Magic Archer, not quite enough, down to 1042. Brian, now in a good spot as we enter the final 30 seconds of regulation. And that mini P.E.K.K.A just making a beeline for the tower. Skeletons high, Valkyrie and Magic Archer low. Needs to get something up higher, though, for that. And it does get a shot off. Valk eats it. Magic Archer, though, does stay alive. Very important Magic Archer for Nicholas. But an entire army coming the opposite direction. EQ taking the bomb tower off the board. Brian starting to BM. And that's going to be it. Mini P.E.K.K.A will hit Brian. 2 up, 2 down. Takes out Nicholas. And suddenly Brian is 1 game away from a King of the Hill sweep here at No Tilt Worlds. What a crazy way that would be to start off the No Tilt Worlds, to start off with a King of the Hill sweep. Brian making it look easy twice in a row. Smart choice here. The matchup was good. You know, you got to wonder again about the analyst squads on each of these. Of course, a little different. If you're typically a ladder player, you end up matched with whatever. But here in competitive, you do a lot of opposition research, and you got to wonder if that was if that deck choice, how much that was based off of Brian's own personal comfort with the deck, and how much of it was based off of knowing how often his opponent likes to run certain decks, in particular building-based decks that he can at least run a lot of that off the board using that EQ. So Goblin Giant Sparky with EQ takes care of business, and Brian now 1 win away from a King of the Hill sweep. All of it standing between him and that is Nacho, who's just coming off of a brilliant 1v1 performance. So we'll see if Nacho can clutch things up. Has to go 1-2-3, needs a reverse sweep between Brian, Kevin, and Stuart to keep Chile in the win column here. Miner in. Little small pressure push from Brian. Gets a bit of damage done. The deck's looking very similar so far from these two squads. And we might have a mirror match on our hands here, folks. Bandit does go to the E-Wiz. First minute down, and not a lot done. Brian, though, in the lead. A win here would finish things off and give Costa Rica that all-important first victory. A lot of pressure on Nacho. Needs to win 3 in a row, and maybe needs to win 3 in a row to keep his team's No Tilt Worlds hopes alive. Because asking this squad to go ahead and beat both Brazil and Uruguay is going to be very, very difficult. Poison gets some value there, helping with the E-Wiz and getting damage on the tower. Brian playing smooth. And Nacho way ahead on Elixir now. You know, you can see that he's an Elixir and a half behind on the actual bars, but don't forget to count that big 7 from the P.E.K.K.A. Here we go. Final 45 seconds of regulation time. Baby Dragon going left. P.E.K.K.A. not going to be a concern here. Brian decides to get some value. Maybe drops that P.E.K.K.A. a half step early, taking some damage. Probably didn't need that to be that early, but also was getting close to topping off that Elixir. Here we go. Nacho in a good spot. That P.E.K.K.A.'s not going to hit, but has retaken the lead here, at least for the moment. E-Wiz high, but the E-Wiz is going to be dead. 2 bandits going to dash in. Oh, Bar Barrel pulls 1 bandit away, but Brian does have the lead. Skeletons and Baby Dragon, and no bandit dash this time for the Chilean. Nacho in trouble here. Miner to the back. P.E.K.K.A. does not turn to follow the miner, so out come the stab gobs to defend, and Nacho now loading up. P.E.K.K.A. Baby Dragon. E-Wiz to support this P.E.K.K.A. Nacho trying to get a little bit extra value there. Take the E-Wiz off the board and get some poison damage, but this is going to be tough, and Miner going right into the bandit in the back. Nacho not willing to let any damage go in right now. Knows that one errant Miner not being able to pick that up could mean he's suddenly in poison range, and that it's GG, well played. Final minute of overtime approaching. It's been all Brian so far in this game and in this set. This time, Miner goes to the front for a bit of a swerve. Tower going to be down to under 500 HP. Here we go, bridge battle. Miner to the back. Bandit does not get the pickup. But, oh my word, Nacho loading up. Selling out at the river, doing everything he can to keep pressure on and try to steal some damage back. Miner into the back this time. P.E.K.K.A. does not survive, but that Miner doing a ton of damage. Poison down as well. Going to be under 500 HP. Final 20 seconds. Nacho has a good chance to steal this one here and prevent the sweep. Could he start off with a reverse sweep? And Nacho does it. Roars from behind. Takes the win. Nacho coming in clutch. 1 down, 2 to go, but what an important one. It looked like he was dead in the water. Nacho snatching victory from the jaws of defeat one more time. Did it in the 1v1, doing it in King of the Hill. And right now, Nacho looking like Chile's undisputed MVP so far in this tournament. Look, he might not get these next 2 wins. It's a big, tall order to go 3 in a row. We just saw Brian get so close, but so far from making it happen. But Nacho deserves all the credit so far, has certainly had a fantastic opening showing here in this tournament. Hope to see more of that same gameplay going on, and I bet he hopes he can do it 2 more times here. Really, really surprising. We lost a little bit of latency drop there, so the image got a bit blurry in those last moments. But you kind of saw maybe his opponent. He might have seen Brian maybe starting to get horse to the barn syndrome and think the finish line was a bit too close. Start over pressuring. Got caught low on Elixir, and next thing you know, an entire mudslide going the opposite direction, and Nacho stealing that one back. So upsets the upends and upsets the potential King of the Hill sweep from his opponent, and now looking to do one himself. Let's move on to our fourth game, second game here for Nacho, trying to stop Costa Rica from taking this victory up against Kevin, 7.5K player, best finish 720th in the world. Now, Kevin does like to play a lot of Golem Night Witch, not looking like it's that in this case, looking like it's going to be Most likely that Graveyard Ice Wiz control deck. In fact, it could be the same thing going both directions, potentially. And early Graveyard from Kevin. Really early Graveyard. Maybe an ill-advised Graveyard. You got to imagine that that was maybe a bit of an over-expenditure. I guess he has quite a lot of Elixir to defend on the opposite direction, but it's not going to be the Ice Wiz control. It's going to be E-Wiz for Kevin. But I guess he realized he was up against Graveyard, knew he had Poison for defense, and wasn't too worried about it. So Kevin gets aggressive, but does eat a couple big-time night shots the opposite direction. You know, anytime you're going to pull a Graveyard in the first minute, it's a really confident move. Liked his cycle, knew he was up against. Kevin took a risk, didn't pay off, but he didn't get punished for it too much. So it's Nacho going back to the Graveyard Ice Wiz control. Kevin going with Graveyard E-Wiz. That Baby Dragon going to be a little annoying for Nacho. The E-Wiz giving more support in the Baby Dragon battle to Kevin than the Ice Wiz does necessarily to Nacho. Add in the Mega Minion, and the aerial battle does favor Kevin here. Poison has to come out on defense. Oh, that's the offensive Poison, excuse me. Offensive Poison gets the Ice Wiz off the board, and Nacho ahead, but not by a lot as we enter double Elixir time. Nacho currently riding a 3-game win streak here at No Tilt Worlds after that great performance in the 1v1 set. Poison going to get a lot of value here for Nacho. A ton of troops, a pile of troops inside of that Poison. Tower down to 1366. And Tornado being used maybe to buy some time for Nacho to get around. Might have also been partially a cycle move, but does its job. Bomb Tower takes care of the Graveyard easily with the Baby Dragon in support as well. Here we go. Sudden death overtime. Nacho fighting for his team's life. Kevin making some aggressive plays and so far behind by a little over 500, a little under 500 HP. Keep in mind, Nacho has damage in both towers, so as we get into triple Elixir, you might see Nacho decide to switch lanes and put something on Kevin, force him to make some decisions. We'll see if that's the case or if he decides to just play in the same lane here. Does have a pretty big lead on this side, and it's Kevin who switches lanes, trying to force any damage away from that weak tower. Bar Barrel and Ice Wiz defending on the right-hand side. Kevin not able to find purchase for his offense. Bomb Tower down early, gets the Bar Barrel off the board. Mega Minion goes down to the Princess Tower, and that healthy Bomb Tower will help with this next Graveyard push whenever it comes in. Final minute, Kevin needs to make something happen. So Kevin goes Graveyard, but Poison on defense from both sides. And Poison does a ton of work for Nacho, not as much for Kevin. Down to 514 left-hand lane. Baby Dragon distracted on the right-hand side. This could be an opportunity for Kevin to get a bit more damage, but Poison just going to stop him. It's going to be very hard. I don't see Kevin be able to battle back here. It looks like Nacho's going to take 2 down and take us to a game number 5. Reverse sweep potentially incoming here for Chile. Final 15 seconds. Graveyard down, Poison in response. Nacho just keeping the pressure on. And Nacho going to put an exclamation point on that one, trying to finish things off. Does get the win, doesn't finish the tower, but Nacho now comes out now on a 4-game win streak. 1 away from the reverse sweep, and folks, we have a wild game on our hands, don't we? Costa Rica taking the 2v2. Nacho coming out for Chile in the 1v1, getting the victory, the 2-0 sweep. And here we go. Brian was one win away from closing this out, getting the 3-0 sweep at King of the Hill. Nacho said, no way, Jose. Fires back, and now we're going to Game 5, King of the Hill. Nacho with a chance to open up his No Tilt Worlds campaign with a 5-game win streak and make a real statement about how he feels he belongs at playing at this level. Now, we'll see if Nacho can do the same sort of magic against the other teams in this group. But first, of course, he has to try to finish off this Costa Rican squad. It all comes down to this. And really, let's be very, very clear about this one. In my opinion, and in the opinion of many people watching right now, the entire no-tilt campaign for these two squads probably comes down to this moment, to this game right here. Most likely, each of these teams will lose one of their games between Brazil and Uruguay. Brazil being a very, very tough out, as we already saw with how well Uruguay played, and Brazil still able to turn the nail at the end and get things done. So game number 5 about to get underway. You got to wonder what's going through the head of both of these players. A lot of pressure, a lot of stress in this moment. Game 5, King of the Hill. You know, you're not just trying to play your best, but trying to play your best against those nerves. So Stewart coming out as the anchor for Costa Rica, trying to close things out and recover the losses by his team so far. Personal best of 72-80. Most of his decks are old meta decks. So it'll be interesting to see what he brings out here today. Going Lava Hound Night Witch, so maybe not that old meta. So Nacho going Minor Wall Breakers, looking like it's the Valk version. And Minor comes right in onto that Magic Archer, left-hand side, but aggressive Valk right-hand side, and those Barbarians going to make things very interesting here. Valkyrie gets taken out, but does a lot of damage to them. Minor goes to the opposite side, and the cycle is just so fast with Minor Wall Breakers. Arrows get down, go for an even trade, or go for a -1 trade. So Nacho now up ahead a little bit, except for the fact that there's the Mega Minion on the board, but Skeletons take care of the Mega Minion. Doesn't kite the Mega Minion, goes right into them, but it's neither here nor there at that point. Cycling. Magic Archer in the back, so up by 2 is Nacho, and Lava Hound in the back for Stewart. Valk in front of the Wall Breakers. Minor to the back. Wall Breakers will connect. Stewart just going, I have to sack this tower most likely and support this Lava Hound push. Tower down to 343, not done yet. And Nacho's going to have a lot to deal with here. Only has 3 elixir. Nacho sold out pretty heavily. Smart Minor going to the inside. Poison will save a lot of that damage, but Stewart nearly able to tie things up. 592 left-hand lane. A little over 200 HP separating these two. Minor to the number 3 spot, and look at that. Barbs go to the outside, trying to pick the either back-placed Minor or the outside-placed Minor. Instead, Nacho goes inside, 87 HP. Now he knows he can poison that off if he needs to. He doesn't want to poison that off. He wants to save that poison to defend against these Lava Hound pushes. Knows he'll probably need it. A little surprised by this Minor on the right-hand side. I would have thought he would have gone Minor, but again, he's putting pressure on that side. So there you go. Both Wall Breakers connect, and color me wrong one more time. And it does pay off. He's probably going to have to go poison on that left-hand side to finish that tower off, though. That's the only drawback of this situation, but has a huge lead on the right-hand side as well. Decides to go Minor, goes Minor inside one more time. Minor gets 2 shots, tower down. So Nacho playing brilliantly, and the Valkyrie gets a shot. Magic Archer gets 1. Magic Archer gets 2. Poison is in. Let's go! Nacho with the reverse sweep comes from behind. 1, 2, 3, King of the Hill. His team on the brink of defeat. Nacho coming out. Let's give him a little blue win light there. Nacho coming out. 5 in a row today. Brilliant performance by the young player from Chile, and the entire country has to be behind him right now in terms of their Clash Royale scene, because that was a heroic performance. You can just chalk that whole thing up. Nacho, reverse swept Costa Rica, all on his own, and with some big heads-up plays as well. It was not easy. Fell behind multiple times, and of course there was that brilliant play back in the 1v1 with the Miner, the Magic Archer, and the Tornado, with the retargeting, getting everything lined up, keeping it lined up. What fantastic play from Nacho. Everyone has to be very proud of him right now. Costa Rica, so very close. Brian had a couple of great games, but in the end, it was one man that could not be stopped. Winners today, Chile, with the almost Texas flag, taking the victory. The reverse sweep in the overall sets of the match, the reverse sweep in King of the Hill as well. You got to feel great for Chile today, getting this very important win. As I said before, probably the most important win they're going to get. Now Chile is in a position where if they can beat Uruguay or Brazil, they have a real shot at making it all the way in to the group stage. Because Brazil or one of those, I mean, really they need to beat Uruguay most likely. So, I mean, Brazil, if they beat Brazil, it gets really sketchy, right? It's going to be kind of a triangle. But if they can beat Uruguay, Chile right now really holds their own fate in their hands. So Uruguay versus Chile is going to be a major matchup with bracket implications. Taking a look at the stats provided by Stats Royale, minors for Nacho. Yes, the wall breakers got in. Yes, they connected. But it was the miner play in particular, that miner to the inside where Stewart went outside with the Barbarians, wasn't able to pick it up, and the cycle was just relentless for Nacho, able to get things done and get the win. Stewart played well, but could not finish things off for the Costa Ricans. So here we go. Chile now takes their first victory. We'll see the overall results of the day fairly soon. You saw those arrows, and that was a big turning point. You saw the arrows were one of the only really great counters. It's a good matchup for Nacho overall. The arrows are one of the only really great counters that Stewart had for those wall breakers, and that's a -1 trade. And we saw that early on. Wall breakers left-hand side, arrows come down, -1 trade, and suddenly it was just further and further behind. Very nice poison work also from Nacho, getting a lot of value. There was one big push early on left-hand lane that the poison did a good job of cleaning up. And despite, kind of having to sack his tower a little bit there, was able to maintain enough of a lead to go ahead and get the victory. So Nacho coming from behind for his team in 2 ways, with the 1v1 sweep, with the King of the Hill sweep, 5-0, and he's going to be my pick for today's MVP. We saw a lot of good performances today, but we saw nothing like this. Basoto had a great 1v1, but it was still a pretty close matchup that he had in that 1v1 set for Brazil. Chile now at the top of the group. I believe it should be Brazil because of set differential, but I don't know the exact rules on tiebreaker for no-tilt worlds. But Brazil and Chile both getting 3 points coming away with the victories today. Costa Rica and Uruguay both falling, coming without a victory, and Uruguay still has a very good chance. You have to still give them the advantage over Costa Rica and probably over Chile unless Nacho keeps playing like this. Brazil, though, more likely than not, has gotten through their biggest roadblock and has a pretty clear path to the bracket round. So well played for Brazil, but again, today's MVP, no question, no debate about it whatsoever. Nacho made a statement today. That's why he's in Tribe Academy, because they see gameplay like that. What a wonderful day today was. What a wonderful collection of Clash Royale. Of course, we've got a lot more coming. Don't forget to hit subscribe on this channel to make sure you follow the entire No-Tilt Worlds. We're going to go through the group stage here over the next couple of weeks, and then as we move into March, we'll get into that bracket round, that knockout round, and there are massive names all over this thing. Spain, completely stacked with a essentially CRL roster. The Netherlands, Germany, USA, Mexico. So many teams are massive. Let's look at our schedule for tomorrow. Tomorrow, we head over to the Asia region in the morning, starting things off with China versus Russia. LCOP, AUK, Little Chen, Higher, and Solo Man up against Russia, that is anchored by, of course, one of the best players in the game, Igor, who made an amazing CRL World Finals debut. But don't forget Taiwan and South Korea. South Korea with Exbo Master and TNT, 2 top-tier exciting players coming out, and TNT looked really, really good despite falling at World Finals. So South Korea, a really, really good shot. This Asian region is absolutely stacked. Could have been even more packed if Japan hadn't had to drop out at the last minute, but still a very, very tight region. So that starts tomorrow at 10 a.m. in the East, 7 a.m. if you're watching on the West Coast of the U.S., and they'll have those 2 matches in the morning. I believe there are more matches in Saturday afternoon as well. You have to go check, go to @NoTiltGG on Twitter to check all that information and get the schedule for those remaining matches. I cannot be more excited for this China matchup. It's going to be great. China and Russia. The question being, can Igor carry carry Russia all the way through this Chinese squad that is also a completely from top to bottom CRL level squad filled with some of the best, as you said, AUK, Little Chen, LCOP, Hire, and Solo Man. So WEDGM and Nova teaming up to try to represent their squad, and definitely one of the teams that people might be overlooking, but has a great chance at going very, very deep in this tournament. And then, of course, later in that same day, South Korea and Taiwan. I've been Rich Slayton. Thank you very much for watching. This has been a great kickoff day for No Tilt Worlds. We will see you tomorrow morning with more Clash Royale action.